suavemente, bésame.
A ver si te gusta esto. ¡Toma! Ni siquiera he comenzado. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Tienes miedo?
And now, our feature presentation.
It's the same donut, man.
Reality, captured in user-friendly symbols and processed for understanding.
Alright guys, how's it going? It's gonna be kind of a strange one. I'm in a situation where I only have one monitor right now, so I'm having to like crop it in a weird way, but anyway. I want to go over a few things, so this is gonna be like a variety hodgepodge episode, like I've done in the past. So just bear with me, I'll put timestamps and everything. So I'm going over my Discord notes. I was like, I got some free time. Let's go ahead and go over some stuff that I've been meaning to. The Discord notes thing I had mentioned a couple months back. I can show it real quick. So there's you know how it goes away after a while on this side, like I've talked about. There's actually a threads button up here. So all you have to do is go into whatever channel the threads are in and click on the threads button, and they're all there. So you don't have to worry about archiving or any of that bullshit like I said before. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that real quick. We're going to go over a few of these topics, whatever I feel like getting into. I definitely kind of want to go over this, but I don't remember specifically where he talked about this incident. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with this lady. What's her name? Freaking Marie-Louise von France. So supposedly she was like a protege of Carl Jung. So we'll go over that. So pull up my notes here real quick. All right, let's get into it.
When the Animus isn't ruling, I think the only thing to do is to get the Animus out of the way, and that the rest comes by itself. Because it's naturally not so much the outer men who really suppress the women, it's just as much the Animus. And against outer men, if they want to suppress you, you can just walk out on them. But the Animus is therefore the real problem. One should found a women's liberation society against the Animus.
So just to make it clear, from what I understand, when she talks about the Animus needs to disappear, she's talking about females who kind of try to embrace the masculinity a little too much. Like they're trying to. She talked about modern feminists here, where it's like the modern feminists are too obsessed with the Animus, and that's what she means by dropping the Animus. She says it's not really the outer men that are suppressing women, it's the Animus, that Animus idea. It's an ideal.
Against men. Society against the Animus. not against men.
Right. Society against the animus, meaning they're not. Society isn't necessarily against men; they're against the animus, like the idealization of what masculinity is. And this is all projection. Like the feminists and men do this too, where you have to like project this aura of being macho, right? Like we got this idea in our heads of what masculine is. We got this idea in our heads of what the animus is, and we got the same thing for the anima. The anima to me is very twisted as well, where because that just happens automatically. Like she said, the animus will disappear automatically. What she means by that is that we project the anima automatically the moment we're born. Because we project this idea, these precepts of what motherhood is, right? Like the moment you come out of your mama's womb, you project the idea of mother onto the woman. You can't help that, like, and vice versa. Like the lady who gives the birth automatically assumes the role of the anima, the animus, the mother. I mean, the mother. So that happens all automatically, and it's a projection, right? It's just this ideal, this societal ideal of what motherhood is, and it all depends on your culture, right? But to me, it's more universal than that. It's a little more ingrained in human beings. But let's continue on.
Society against the animus, not against men. That would be women's liberation.
But
And then your femininity recovers by itself, I mean, it
in a natural way.
in a natural way. After all, one is a female.
Mm-hmm. What's amazing to me is that I don't know how much the interviewer understands what she's saying. I'm not saying like, oh, I understand what she's saying, because I may not be. I may be getting this wrong. Okay.
That's where the creative work of a woman comes in, isn't it? When, I mean, the animus, the only way to get him out of the way is to,
Well, you see, the animus has to be is also in the creativity. And there is in his right place. That's why Jung was very much for women doing creative work, because that occupies the animus in what he should do.
Yep.
Namely,
It's interesting,
relate to
huh?
the young-
Because I've talked about Animus and the Anima before, and I describe the Animus as a few things, like in The Wizard of Oz, where the three characters represent masculinity, right? They represent intellect, courage, and morality. And that's what she's saying here. Like the intellectual part of the woman is the Animus part. That's what she's saying here.
Conscious. And then also the animus is first, if somebody hasn't worked on the animus is undeveloped, and therefore he's let's say, for instance, in scientific work, where I am mostly working, have more experience, the animus is a parrot. He repeats, he copies what is in other scientific books, he quotes, he accumulates quotations. And then one day you say to yourself, now, how do I understand that myself? Now let's put aside even Jung. Let's not quote Jung. Now let's...
She just blasted the education system too. It's amazing to me how so many people misunderstand what this person's saying. The Anima and the Animus, how they completely misunderstood concepts. And like I've said before, guys, I'm uneducated. Like, I'm a layman, right? Layman, whatever it's called. It's like, I'm not, how come, I don't know. Maybe it's presumption, right? Where I'm saying like, oh, I understand this. And it's like, I feel like I do more than most people. Like, even the jackasses that study this shit, just like project this weird nonsense onto it, especially the feminists. I think that's all I wanted to show from that clip. The rest isn't, I mean, the rest is interesting, like, but I don't want to go through the whole thing, obviously. I just wanted to talk about that one little tidbit. I'm just going over the comments real quick. I don't see anything too particular in this comment section. Not a lot of whole deep thinking. Pretty surface level shit, which is fine, you know. Nobody's really given any kind of insight. Like, these discussions are so shallow. I don't know, man, but here's my comment. Against the animus and not against men. I was quoting her right there. I'd say the big push for women getting into STEM jobs has been the subconscious desire to see the animus. As she said earlier, Christian women realized they had to act like men in a vain attempt to become their own animus, IMO. In my opinion, children as they're growing up are supposed to see the animus figure in their fathers, the fatherly role model. Women can't simply abandon their animus. It's automatically ingrained to each individual. And that's from having fathers, okay? This ingrained animus in women is from having fathers. At least it's supposed to. And it's any male figure in their lives, right? Um, a lot of times, these fatherless kind of girls that grow up, they seek the animus, right? So they get entangled with the bad boy kind of projection or the bad boy archetype. They get attracted to, like, the smokers or the drug users or the beer drinkers. They have this attraction to that ideal of manliness or manhood that they didn't get from their fathers. And I've seen this so many times, especially growing up, where these young girls without father figures, they seek the animus in, like, the worst possible people, like people that are already fucked up, Um, just twisted, man. It's so crazy to witness things like that where these young girls get entangled in these bad boys, quote unquote, right? And they're really just normies in disguise because they're just following the trends, They're all smoking cigarettes and drinking beer like Billy says, and it's like they're just following the trends. Like, they're so fucking shallow, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people like me that, and maybe even people like Billy, who, they don't get tattoos and they don't drink and they don't smoke weed. And I used to smoke pot when I was a kid, a little teenager, right? And I was influenced, like I couldn't help that. I didn't have a father in my life to look up to, not even necessarily a father to tell me, hey, drugs are bad, okay? Kind of deal. It's not about that at all. Like, these fucking, war on drugs and this say no to drugs bullshit is a bunch of shallow nonsense because they're supposed to see the animus ideal in their fathers and maybe in their mothers a little bit, right? Or in the blood family, the kin family. They're supposed to see that example, that living example. You can't tell a kid say no to drugs and then they don't and go do drugs. That shit don't fucking work. Billy knows that firsthand. I know that firsthand. That shit don't work, okay? I know he didn't do drugs or anything, and great, good for him. I did. I'm not saying, like, oh, I'm the authority on it because I used to smoke weed. I don't mean that at all. It's just I know what it feels like to be kind of peer pressured into that. And I was just following the trends, right? Following the download, looking for the animus and these other little wannabe gangsters. That father, that animus figure is not necessarily even a father figure, just any kind of male that shows some kind of competence. I don't know, man. It's crazy. And my ideals changed around the time I was a freshman. I really liked band, and I liked my band director. He was a guy. He was like in his 40s. And I looked up to him, so I found the new Animus, and that's when I got away from the little wannabe gangster life shit. And I got away from that, and I got into band, and that's how I was kind of saved, because I found a better Animus figure, and that's what it takes. That's what it takes to wake up, in my opinion, because that's what happened to me when I had my first Satori, when I had my first enlightenment. What did I call it? What's the Christian word for that? Oh fuck, I forgot. Oh my god, what do they call it? Anyway, when I had my first enlightenment, it was because I saw God in my father, and that was the new, like, the ultimate, ideal, the ultimate animus, and that's when I really woke up. I don't know, man, it's crazy. I think everybody's capable of that, but there's a fat chance in hell that they'll have those kind of realizations. All right, reading on. She says herself that women who are educated discover the animus via more creative pursuits while in university. That's the animus projection. The problem today is not an unhealthy relationship with the animus, but an unhealthy relationship with the anima. Women and men have an unhealthy projection of their mother. It's been twisted and distorted with all the animus traits to the point where you can't even tell the difference anymore. The animus energy is dominant right now, and not for the better. And the way I say this when I say animus energy, I don't mean men dominating. I mean women pretending to be men dominating. It's this phony, the fake masculinity right now. Like women pretending to be men. That animus energy is what's dominant right now, and that's a problem. That's not for the better. It's actually really for the worse. You can have the opposite effect as well, where it's like too much animus in men, where it's like they're too domineering, or they're giving off this phony projection of what manhood is, and that's a problem as well. You'll see that a lot with the drug users and the beer drinkers and all that. They think that being these phony things is what manhood is, or manliness is. Anyway, I think that covers that. All right, just to give an example, I made a community post a few months ago, just the idea of what manliness is, right? So Carl's Jr. had this weird promotion where they were trying to like bring back the manliness, you know. You already know where we're going with this. Look, I'm a warm-blooded male. I don't mind stuff like this, but it gives the weird impression that. Let's play it here. I'll pause it.
It'll be a hot mess after the
I'll turn the volume down. So yeah, so you don't see like this stuff like this not today, right? Sexy bikini girl, blonde bikini girl, kind of bimbo, promoting something, right? And this is what I mean, where we have a lot of dummy red-pilled guys going, oh, we're making it back, we're going back to manliness, right? We're bringing sexiness back. And like I said, I don't necessarily mind that, but these stupid asses don't realize that they're being pandered to, right? They're being sold a product. And that's where my beef, no pun intended, that's where my beef comes. My beef comes from. Oh, look, that's the most played as a beginning. That's too funny. It's like not even a judging butts, right? Like, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's okay. You know what I mean? It is kind of funny though. Who the hell is that a porn star? What's her name? Alex Earl? Who the fuck? Let's see, who is this lady? 2000. So she's 25. Okay. Alright, so she's like a... Hopefully they don't show anything not safe for work. I wonder if she knows she's... I'm pretty sure she's plastic, man. Which is fine. I mean, fucking ladies, do what you want with your bodies, man. I don't give a fuck anymore. You know what I mean? I can't show it. Whatever. I'm not going to try too hard. Y'all can see it right here. Little thumbnail. That's that lady. I'll show it there. Can't tell she's plastic. Pretty sure she is. You know what I mean? How to be tall, how to be in a tall suit. You know what? Fuck it. Alright. That's that lady, I guess. So back to this stupidity. Alright. Crop it back. So, like I said, so many guys are looking at this and going, yeah, we're back to manliness. Blind that they're being controlled by the illusion of choice. So, big trucks, burgers, hot women in bikinis, that's manhood to these people. And that's what I mean by this phony animus, this fake animus. That's the fake animus that the men will begin projecting, you know? And the women project animus as well in a different way. They still think these are physical issues. They're adopting the same approach as crazy liberals have done for the past 15 years, and the red pill to think that will fix things. It's ridiculous. So the dummy red pill, right? Just to go over it one more time. Like I said, they're adopting the same approach as crazy liberals have, where they think it's a physical problem. It's not a physical problem, it's a spiritual problem. So many of these idiots are being pandered to. I think that about covers that topic really quick. Let's move on to something else. Alright, I want to cover this, and just to preface it, he's talking about an incident where this nurse slept with her underage stepson and then made the claim that, and they got caught by the husband or by the father and made the claim that he looked like a younger you and that's why I did it. Just to preface that, but I didn't want to talk about that really. I wanted to talk about what Joker says here.
Oh, there's so many things we can say about how society has fallen. When I was younger, things were kind of chaotic and strange. And back in the the early 1990s and 1980s is when I was around his age. And yeah, times were different, but they were simpler. Yes, I lost my V card to a 18-year-old chick at a camp who was a lifeguard, and I was just going there as a camp attendee. Yes, it was weird. No, it was not normal. No, it didn't make the news. No, it wasn't. Had it been discovered, it probably would have been quietly been swept under the rug, or it would have kind of been blown off, or it wouldn't have been a thing. But today, not only do we have so many people acting out and going so crazy over so many things.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. So this dude blows my mind about these red pill channels in particular, and Joker's Better Bachelor, this channel in particular, because he named off all these things this incident was where he got molested. Essentially, he got molested, okay? He was underage with the 18-year-old chick. I mean, she's a child molester. That makes her a child molester. Doesn't call her that at any point in this video, because I've already watched it all. He doesn't call her that. He doesn't call it wrong, but he names all these other, like, platitudes that, oh, it was weird. And he's right, it would have been swept under the rug, because if it was a guy, 18-year-old dude, messing with a 13-year-old boy, or a 13-year-old girl, or even a boy, like, yeah, that'd be probably all over the news, more than likely. But that's besides the point. I want to focus on, real quick, this is going to be a short segment, but really quick, it's just, these guys, they don't, like, he kind of went, maybe not out of his way, but he couldn't even say that it was wrong, right? Like, this incident was wrong, I was molested, and that's what's wrong with this dude. Like, he got felt up by an older chick at a very early age, and maybe, thank God it wasn't some hag, right? I mean, I'll say that. Like, at least it wasn't some ugly ass, disgusting hag, right? But he considers it a win. It was like, oh, it was a win. I got laid when I was, 13, 14. You should too. I know he's not gonna say that, but he may as well. Like, he's got fucking. I'm not like jealous or anything. He's got 500,000 subscribers, man. It's like he has an audience that he's reaching, and this dude, to me anyway, is pushed by the system because the algorithm picks up his videos. The whole reason I found him is because the algorithm picked up his videos, probably because the algorithm thinks I'm a red pill dude. But he's pushed to the forefront to give off these messages, and I don't know if he's got a creepy controller or whatever that maybe told him it was okay for him to talk about the time he was molested at a summer camp. But he went out of his way. He went out of his way to say that to avoid the topic of that he was molested or it was wrong in some manner. It's just wild to me, guys. Like, what the fuck? What the hell? I got nothing else to say about it. All right, one more little section I want to cover.
Exciting when half that content is labeled stepbrothers.
And he's talking about pornography, just for context. Like incest, like not stepbrother, but stepfamily incest kind of pornography.
Stepsister, stepmom, stepwhatever. Yeah, I can see why this is happening. If anything, I kind of blame the dad for,
so,
number one, hooking up with a mother of two.
Y'all probably got an idea what I would say. So this guy, not Joker, but in this incident, the father hooked up with a lady that had kids already. He had a kid of his own, so Brady Bunch, right? Like, oh, the idea of Brady Bunch. I talked about that recently, where it's like two fucking morons get together and try to make a family, and then you have shit like this happen. And then everybody goes, I don't know what went wrong. And he said he partially blames the dad, and me personally, I fully blame the dad. This is 100% the father's fault. No way, there's no way in fucking hell this kid is responsible. I don't care how horny he is or whatever. It wasn't his fault. Like, this is the dad's fault. His dad didn't set his ass to the side and look and said, hey, look, dude, I know you get, like I said this before, it's like, I know your pee-pee gets hard when you look at a pretty lady, but you need to think about who who you're going to stick your penis in. You know what I'm saying? Or for a female or for a girl, it's like, I want you to pause for a second before you let some guy or some boy put his wee-wee inside you. You know? Because not only do babies happen, but other shit can happen. And not only the spiritual consequences. I'm not talking about going to heaven or hell. I'm talking about the psychological damage. I don't give a fuck about heaven or hell, okay? When I talk about these things, I don't bring up this fucking religious gobbledygook. When I talk about spirit, I'm talking about psychology. I'm talking about the mind. I'm talking about what sex does to your mind and what it does to what having sex with a stranger does to your spirit, to your mind. You get what I'm saying. But like I said, the father, he wants to put partial blame on the father, and I put 100% blame on the father because he was a weak male. He's not even a man by this point. He's a male. I think fathers like that should be persecuted as well. That's just how I feel about it. And then
Winston, me and my Winston, we got a real good thing, a real good taste. Me and my Winston.
Time was when we didn't give a second thought to commercials like this.
shout out to Billy for leaving a community post about this. This is super interesting. I kind of giggled to myself because the really obvious AI voice that's over this.
No one was concerned about cigarettes. But those days of innocence are over.
Ladies and gentlemen, the late Yul Brynner.
I really wanted to make a commercial when I discovered that I was that sick.
Today, smoking is being passionately debated everywhere. In homes and offices, in restaurants and hospitals, in the courts, state legislatures, even in the Congress. Cigarettes are now a national dilemma and no longer the accepted part of life they once were.
You can take Salem out of the country, but...
To understand the origins of the smoking dilemma...
Real quick, while it's on my mind, the cigarette thing became like a prohibition kind of situation. Where they advertised it at first, right, to the silent gen, and the young baby boomers were influenced as well, and then they demonized it, and then they made it cool, right? They made it cool by demonizing it, and that's how that prohibition kind of what's it called, phenomenon occurs, where you take away something and suddenly it's in high demand, right? Just basic economics. You take away something. You tell people they can't have it, suddenly it's in high demand. I just wanted to get that out there while it's on my mind.
We must go back to when cigarettes first became popular, to the America of 1917.
So 1970... So that would be young baby boomers, maybe teenagers. I thought these commercials were from the 50s, to be honest, but I may be just getting that wrong.
Getting soldiers to smoke in the First World War was a major aspect of the promotion of smoking in the early 20th century. All of our soldiers came back from France as smokers.
So real quick, that would be an Animus projection where your manliest men, right, came back from a war, World War I. They come back and they're all smoking, right? So that's deemed as manlyhood or manliness, manhood. So again, with this Animus projection, it's like, this is super important to me, guys. Like, if I can get a few of y'all thinking this way, your life might be a little easier to cope with.
It's very difficult to say to them in the way that we said to our culture about alcohol, no, we're not going to let them have this. And the industry picked
all on purpose.
These images. How can you
look at this shit?
A cigarette away from a soldier who's been sitting on these
ultimate marketing, man. Look at this. So disgusting.
Away from a soldier who's been sitting under extreme stress and tension in the trenches of Europe, protecting democracy for the world.
And that would be like the early kind of bleeding heart liberal, right? Where, because liberals pick and choose their ideals when it comes to anything. Like back then it was having sympathy for the World War I vets or whatever. And now it's like, oh, a bleeding heart for the blacks or a bleeding heart for LGBT ABC alphabet soup group or whatever. They just pick and choose whoever they can to use as a prop, as a tool.
This is one of his few enjoyments.
So this pro-veteran thing, I don't know, man. This veteran thing, I don't see it as traditional conservatism, or however you want to say it. Like, I really do see it as liberalism, just a different flavor of liberalism. This bleeding heart for veterans. And if you're a veteran listening, like, I don't mean this, I have zero disrespect, okay? You fought in a war. I do have respect for you. Like, I get it. I've never fought in a war, so I don't fucking know. Obviously, maybe it's easy for me to sit in my chair and talk about it because I never experienced it, but it's like, I just see it as, I'm just calling it how it is. I don't like this idea of these people using veterans to push their agendas. Like, the cigarette company, for instance, were using World War I vets to push their cigarettes, to merchandise, to sell something to people. That's horrible. And then you have these bleeding heart liberals going, "Oh, the poor World War I vets, how dare you take their cigarettes away?" Kind of bullshit. It's just so easily manipulated, you know?
In a world of great risk and violence.
The doughboys came home from World War I addicted to nicotine. I remember the Brecher family party when two of my older cousins, released from the service, came home early in 1919, smoking cigarettes, of course.
Boy, howdy.
And the memory is particularly sharp for a special reason. Prior to this time, only men smoked.
Yep.
With the exception of a few prostitutes and other loose women. In fact, in the film,
Loose women.
wanted to characterize a woman.
You know, we ought to bring that phrase back.
And other loose women. In fact, in the film, in the movies, when you wanted to characterize a woman as being disreputable, she lit a cigarette and you knew who she was at once. And
Yep.
here on the
That's still kind of true in my opinion. Almost 100 years later, right? Or 100 years later. You could still have a woman in a movie light up a cigarette, right? Or hit a bong or something. It's like, oh, you know what she's about. Subconsciously, even if they don't say it, you know that she's probably going to put out, or at some point. And that's why all these dudes are like, oh, look at her, because they know they're going to get their cock wet at some point. Seeing this girl smoke the way she is, or drink the way she is. It's the same with drinking, you know, doing drugs and all that. It's the same fucking shit. You immediately know there's something up. There's something going on.
The occasion of my cousins coming home from the war, I saw my mother light a cigarette. I was 7.
Wow.
And I still remember the horror, the chagrin. I ran out of the room, red in the face, and found a closet and hid.
I believe it. I believe him. Maybe he's being a little bit hyperbolic, right? But if he had his dad in his life who taught him correctly, and all of a sudden he's seeing his mother act that way, like the way I did. Like, I know exactly what he went through, seeing my mother drink and smoke and all that. It's like, yeah, you want to hide in a closet because you don't know the person anymore. It's like, this person is just unpredictable. You know what I mean? And that's part of that has to do with the anima projection, right? And it's not fair in a way where it's like we project this ideal onto our mothers that doesn't match reality at all. And that's why I say that the anima can be a problem as well, because women can get entangled in this anima figure, this anima ideal, and they'll find ways to be individuals, right? And they'll try to be individuals through this narcotics use, this cigarette smoking, or the drug taking, or whatever. They go, oh, I'm a unique individual now that I've smoked this cigarette, that I lit a stogie, or whatever the fuck, smoking a cigar or whatever. And that's what I mean by these anima projections can be a problem as well. And you have these animus projections that can be a problem as well. They're both issues, man.
While disapproving of women who smoked, men began to take up smoking in increasing numbers, partly because a flood of advertisements in what was America's newest mass medium, national magazines, made smoking attractive. These ads evoked the symbolic values many men already associated with cigarettes: sexual appeal, sophistication, pleasure. But they failed to persuade women to risk the disapproval of their menfolk by taking up cigarettes. Even George Washington Hill, the advertising genius who made Lucky Strikes America's best-selling cigarettes, couldn't figure out how to break through the social barriers that kept women from smoking. So he turned to a public relations genius, Edward Bernays.
Public relations, aka propagandist.
He said, we have a problem. We're losing half the market in America because there is a taboo against women smoking, particularly smoking in the streets. He said, I want your help on that. So I said, before I can offer you a suggestion or a recommendation, I would like your authority to visit Dr. A.A. Brill, who was the leading psychoanalyst of his time. So I went to Dr. Brill and...
So, real quick, they went to a psychoanalyst, right? And this is how... I talked about it before, where psychology and psychiatry and all that have been used for evil. Like, it's not used to set up people to succeed. It's used to set up to get people to buy a product. In this case, it's cigarettes. But in most cases, it's to get addicted to substances like, the ADD medication. I forget the name of it, Ritalin or whatever it is. Or maybe sleeping pills, right? Or anti-anxiety medication. They get you addicted to these drugs. And Kirk talked about his mother before, where she can't solve her own issues, right? Her own spiritual slash psychological issues. So she has to turn to a doctor to be like, oh, I need this anxiety medication or whatever, because she can't look within, right? She can't look in the mirror. And I remember the specific thing Kirk said where he was like, oh my God, what was it? She would hoard, like she wouldn't take her medication because she was hoarding it. She just automatically began hoarding her anti-anxiety medication even though she needed it. And I think that's something you have to take like all the time for it to be effective. So it's not one of those things you can just pop it in whenever you want and suddenly you're not anxious, right? It's something that they keep up in the dosage. I remember him mentioning that as well, where they kept up in the dosage because she wasn't taking it the way she was supposed to. And that's part of the scam that these institutions have. Or this is more about selling drugs, or in this case, selling cigarettes. It's always about selling a product, right? All this, all this mental health bullshit right now is to solve a product, is to sell a product. It's not about helping you. Like, this mental health shit is a fucking scam. It's snake oil. Continuing on.
And I said, can you tell me what cigarettes mean to women? And as quick as that, he said,
rebellion.
Cigarettes to women are torches of freedom.
Pretty much.
That they use to dramatize their objection to the taboo against smoking by men.
Yep. Rebellion. It's about rebellion. And I forgot he said that. I immediately thought rebellion. Obviously, I've seen this before, so maybe it was in my subconscious, right? But torches of freedom, that feminism bullshit. That women's suffrage bullshit. That slop. The feminist slop they've been sold for the past probably over 200 years, because I know it started before the 1900s.
And then he added as an afterthought, and they titillate the erogenous zones of the lips.
Yeah, that too. I guess that does that. I don't fucking know. I haven't smoked in a very long time. They represent rebellion. Cigarettes do, But they also, like I said before, they represent manliness. So they represent the animus, the fake animus. And maybe that was the part, I don't know if they said this, I already forgot, but maybe that's the part they were kind of missing as well. Like I said, this shit is so important because it's used for marketing purposes. this projection, this fake manliness, this fake womanhood, this fake motherliness or whatever, fake fatherhood is all used against everybody because they can't tell people, especially the religious institutions, they can't tell people that God is within them already. And I know it's weird that I bring this up almost 40 minutes into the recording, but this is about the God within. This is about a link to God. This is about a severance from God. This is what it's all about. This fake animus and this fake anima projection is about seeking God. They're seeking God. You know, it is, besides being about rebellion and being about manliness, this is about seeking the father figure, seeking God.
So I left and wondered what to do with that information. And I decided we would get debutantes to light torches of freedom in the Easter parade to protest man's inhumanity to women.
Inhumanity.
Taboo against smoking.
Wow. I want him to define inhumanity.
Within 6 weeks.
Because when I think of inhumanity, I think of like literal slaves being, I don't know, strung up, tied up against a tree and whipped, just blood everywhere. To me, that's inhumane. So their definition of inhumanity is probably staying in the kitchen and not working. That's inhumanity to them.
Weeks.
It's really twisted.
Smoking became an accepted pattern.
And it's really gross it's really disgusting that the debutantes were used in this way. That's fucking amazing to me.
Throughout the United States.
An ancient prejudice has been removed.
See.
Today, legally,
what a joke.
politically, and socially, womanhood stands in her true light. American intelligence has cast aside the ancient prejudice that held her to be inferior.
They've been fighting against the patriarchy for 100 years, right? And then they'll never get a win. They're still fighting it to this day. 2025, holy shit, current year. That's crazy, man. So they do admit, just to go over my comment, they admit that they were missing out on 50% of the market. That's what feminism is about. It's about missing out, right? The 50% of that market, that missing, like the users, right? Whether it comes to cigarettes or anything, the people who spend money are women now, in current year. Like, women are the ones who spend all the money. Both hundreds? Jesus. This is about advertising. This is about selling women on nonsense. That's what feminism has always been about marketing. Whether it be drugs, like pharmaceuticals, anything, property, big house. You got to have a big house, right? If you don't have a big house, then that means your man doesn't love you, or whatever the bullshit they say. So just to reemphasize this point, these tobacco companies didn't care about women's liberation. They just wanted to sell more cigarettes. You're going to find that anywhere. Anytime a company goes, we're for women, or we're on the side of women, they just want to sell you a product. It's insane that anybody would fall for that, especially, I don't know, especially these educated feminist idiots who just fall for anything. And I posed the question: in what other ways were women tricked into this twisted idea into women's suffrage, in order to just sell them a product? And I gave a couple of examples already, so I'm sure you can name more. If you want to consider this a truth or classroom, it's like, in what ways did women's suffrage sell the product or ideology to females, or especially young girls? Because young girls are the most vulnerable when it comes to propaganda. And shout out to Autumn Luma. She's always she's always on top of things. So I want to go over this real quick.
So
These two were discussing this idea of sexualized, I guess, video game characters. So they talked about Samus Aran from the Metroid series, so I'm going to play a little bit of it first, then I'll get into my comments, because I left a few comments down here. Let me switch accounts real quick, actually.
So the other day, basically, I bought Super Mario Maker, and when I was there at the store, they had...
And I don't know who this lady is, so... I don't know if it's a girlfriend or a wife or whatever.
Amiibos there, and...
Oh no.
Amiibo's story aside, and what you think about that, they had Zero Suit Samus, and they had Ganon, or Ganondorf.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I haven't removed. I am an opener. I'll remove them from their packages. But basically, I shot a photo of the haul and posted it on Twitter, and one of my friends who hadn't seen Smash Samus before noticed the high heels on Samus, and he said, "What?
Uh-oh.
They put hooker heels on Samus?" Like, he immediately blew up the way a lot
Those
of
are weapons as well.
So,
as an artist, they just want an excuse to put heels on Zero Suit Samus, but at least they had an end game or a canon explanation to why she has heels like that. They act like weapons. They act like rockets to help her move around, just to give context a little bit.
So that got us kind of talking a little bit about Samus, and I mean, I don't really feel as bad about the heels that she's wearing as other people.
Yeah.
I'm not reacting the way that she is.
You kind of are,
based on how she looks,
because you're
but I do
talking about
think
it.
that she does represent females in games for many, many people, and has for decades
Yeah.
now. So,
In my opinion, just my opinion, Zero Suit or Samus in general represents herself. It's weird because it would be like saying, I don't know, real quick, I'm going to go over my comment, but I don't even say this in the comment, but it'd be like me saying that Mario represents men for the past 40 years or some bullshit, because Samus Aran's been around for about that long. Yeah, it's been about 40 years. And I understand the point, but I don't know, man. Let's just keep fucking going.
so, I mean, you find it offensive that
Let's look at Ganondorf amiibo, or Ganondorf's fucking, especially this, man. Look at this shit. I mean, you want to talk about over-sexualized ideals, just to be an asshole about this? Just to be a fucking asshole about this. It's like, whoa, I hate that feature in Windows 11. Do y'all see this? I mean, nobody says, did you see the giant fucking muscles on Ganondorf on the amiibo? They really gave him giant muscles. Whoa, dude, I'm so offended. And he brought it up. He brought up Ganondorf and didn't have a problem with his giant bulging fucking manliness, right? I'm gonna play something for y'all real quick. Here we go. This is too funny to me. Oh, fast forward a bit.
Bésame, suavemente, bésame.
A ver si te gusta esto. ¡Toma! Ni siquiera he comenzado.
I'm gonna put this shit in my intro. This is my intro.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Tienes miedo?
But anyway, guys, I'm always taken aback by that. This is too funny. So, Zero Suit Samus versus this beefcake. You know, I'm just saying, y'all, like, why do we talk about Samus so much when this motherfucker, you want, look at this, look at Link, man, like, look at Link. Look how fucking, you want to make a goddamn comparison? Like, Link is a little beefcake too himself, right? Look at this fucking dude. Link is like 5'4", 5'3", I think, in universe. Ganon is like 12 feet tall. You want to talk about twisted fucking ideals? I'm just saying, dude, I don't give a fuck, to be honest. But it's like, if you're going to draw comparisons, this motherfucker brought up Ganondorf, so I'm bringing up Ganondorf. Let's continue on.
She has these heels.
I love a good pair of heels.
So she's offended.
But this is
Just to remind y'all.
It's not practical.
So pause. It's not practical. We're going to go over this. So I leave a timestamp. It isn't practical to be an intergalactic bounty hunter either. Why even bring up practicality in a video game, much less any other fantasy medium? Talking about practicality in video games is a total waste of energy. So I'm just leaving it at that. There ain't nothing else to say about that. It's so stupid. It's so fucking dumb. Like kindergarten thinking when you want to talk about practicality in a goddamn video game.
At all.
Let's go over this a little bit.
If you're a intergalactic bounty hunter and you're running around and you're fighting bad guys, granted the latex suit isn't exactly practical either.
But she doesn't wear that suit when she fights bad guys. She wears her armor. She's not running around in heels. Like this bitch doesn't even know what Samus does.
But the thing that bugs me is that in the previous Smash game, she had heels as well, but they were a lot shorter. She had basically normal looking boots that she wore. And this is the thing.
That was artistic. That was an artistic decision because they highlighted the yellow. So they highlighted her. You want to talk about art, right? The yellow bands and whatnot. I honestly think they wanted a reason to put like yellow highlights on her to emphasize her foot movement and whatnot. And yeah, she's a sexual character. She's supposed to be athletic. She's supposed to be fit. And the heels, I mean, they're augmented heels like Bayonetta. Like, let's talk about Bayonetta. But I'm not going to talk about that. But Bayonetta has heels, and they're weapons as well. It's a really cool idea. It's a really neat trope, if we want to call it a trope, right? I don't know, man. I think it's just an artistic decision to make these heels kind of glowy and all that. That's just how I feel about it.
High heels are just really, really impractical. And
not in a video game, they're not.
It kind of takes away.
In a video game, high heels, this is a fictional world. We're not talking about somebody who's trying to keep their balance in real life. Okay? So talking about heels as if we're not talking about a fiction world is retarded. Like literal, like an 8-year-old trying to make an argument.
Strut around in while she beats people with her fancy whip.
I mean, I could see. I guess I could see you making that argument for Smash because of the nature of what Smash is. Granted, Smash also has a very big fun factor in it.
It does.
You know, I mean,
she wore, and this is the thing. High heels are just really, really impractical. Her as, you know, it just basically her being like a the butt kicker that she is. It takes away from that when you put her in these like sexy little heels to have her go strut around in while she beats people with her fancy whip.
I mean, a lot of Samus's character is about being a female, and I don't know about you, but I've talked about this before where I want my females in my video games to be attractive, to be the ideal, the same with the masculine. I don't want to see some fucking 5'4", 5'5", little short Mexican dude. Or maybe I do. Short little Mexican dude as a protagonist, you know? You don't want that. Like, you don't want this lady right here. She doesn't want to see some ugly, you know, some ugly purple-haired freakazoid Samus, or maybe she does. I'm just gonna go over my timestamps.
You know, badass. Why can't a character be both? Like, why can't you have a female character that's, you know, badass bounty hunter by day and then strong, independent woman who don't need no man at night, but still likes to go out and have a good time?
Right.
And I guess for a lot of people, they just feel like maybe they feel like the more liberties that are taken with making her a sexualized character, that they'll just continue to move in that direction.
She always has been, though. This isn't some new phenomenon. Samus has always been a sexual character. So, we're looking at fan art. My gosh, this is pissing me off. So we're looking at, this is fan art. That's just the Justin Bailey costume. That's just what it's been called by the fans. So this is her sprite. Her sprite without her suit. Okay? It's a leotard, purple leotard. More fan art. Here's her sprite sheet right here. Blonde hair when she's got her missiles equipped. So she's always had a purple kind of skin-tight leotard. And then we got this right over here. She's always been sexualized, okay? This is a gender reveal, all right? When you beat the game in under an hour or under 2 hours, you get this ending right here. Pointed at the wrong screen. This is the ending you get when you beat under 2 hours. This is under 59 minutes. 59 minutes, 59 seconds. And it's a gender reveal. It's supposed to be shocking because the whole time you're thinking you're playing as a male. You're playing as a man, a guy in a suit. Only for there to be a gender reveal if you beat it under, I think this is 5 hours, this is 2 hours, this is an hour. So she's, and this is a callback, okay? This is a callback to movies, the 80s media, 70s and 80s media. Leotards were all in the rage, okay? It's about the culture. This is the way the culture was back then, where it was okay to show women in leotards back in the 70s and 80s. I know it blows your mind that women wore skin-tight leotards back then, and it's still kind of like that with the gym shorts, the skin-tight, flesh-colored attire that a lot of gym women wear, a lot of girls wear at the gym. And then they accuse men of, looking, and then they're in all kinds of trouble. That's why I don't go to the gym personally, because I don't want to deal with that ever. They can make it all female gym, and I wouldn't even give a fuck. Let them have it. But to get back to the point, this is an homage to, what's her name? Ripley? I'm gonna put panties because it's the easiest thing to do. Panties? I couldn't remember to spell panties. So this is a callback to this kind of same fucking character, y'all. Curly red hair. Well, curly whatever, brownish hair. Curly brownish hair. Wow. Who would have fucking guessed it was an homage to something else? Who would have guessed, right? And yeah, she's wearing like a bikini or whatever, but this is a space lady. Fucking Alan Ripley was a goddamn space woman. The ideal, male fantasy in a way. And the ideal woman role model as well. It's crazy to me, y'all. Like, can we get our heads out of our asses for a second? This is just a, what's it called? Artifact of the culture back then. All right? Just to give a little lore. I probably said that here. So I'm going to go over my timestamp notes again. Here, I got to fix my... Ooh. Having one monitor is a pain in the ass. So I quoted her. So, badass bounty hunter by day, strong independent woman by night, but still goes out to have a good time. I said, are we talking about the same Samus? She's only one of those things. Her sexualization has never been extrapolated on except by the fans and by people who don't even play video games. She has never been given characterization outside of her known adventures. They see her in a skin-tight bodysuit and immediately assume she's a hooker without knowing any details. Honestly, those are the most sexist people of all. They see heels and think hooker. You devalue and degrade yourself with these labels. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm it's kind of cringe that I'm agreeing with myself, but yeah, like they see skin-tight bodysuit and they project this idea of hooker. And they called it hooker heels. It's like, y'all are calling it hooker heels, not me. Guys like me aren't calling it that. Like, y'all do this. Y'all are the ones that are sexualizing her, not me. Let's move on.
I want to say that it is, but at the same time, I guess you're right. Like, she's always been a character that's been sexualized, but I guess they kind of damped it down. And then you also have to consider.
Oh yeah, to me, the Zero Suit, in my opinion, was a dampening down. To me, that was censorship all the way. They couldn't put her in her purple leotard or whatever because it's like, you know, one of them high-rise or whatever they're called that goes over the hip kind of leotard. They're not going to do that. They're going to give her a full-body suit, make it skin tight, and call it a day. And then people are still going to bitch about it, like this lady.
You know, they tried to give her a narrative in Other M, which
was dog shit.
So you're bringing up Other M.
Other M was dog shit.
that game, which must not be named.
The appropriately named Other M, that other Metroid.
They tried to give her characterization. Yeah, they did. Let's just go over. So you mentioned Bikini Samus. I don't feel like looking for that, even though it's probably here. Let me.
I believe Bikini Samus is an alternate costume in
No.
the new Smash, isn't it?
Yeah, that's. See what I mean by she doesn't even play these games, and she's already projecting this shit. Like, she didn't even know. She called it Bikini Samus without really knowing, where she's just wearing like a sports bra and some shorts. It's crazy to me how they project this kind of shit. That's why I say here, Bikini Samus isn't the thing. Strange that you would even say something like that without even knowing. Define sexualized, because I still don't know. I still don't see how. We got a gender reveal. Oh, I just talked about that. I'm not going to go over that. How she's inspired by Ridley and all that. So I just went over that. Let's move on.
Play of Other M, but the story
rewind.
is like wanting to, you know, make a male character proud of her, you know, and
that's Japanese
I
nonsense.
enjoyed gameplay of Other M, but the
giving her a male figure to look up to is Japanese, you know, old man NTR kind of bullshit. I mean, without getting into details, like the Japanese are weird when it comes to stuff like that. They could have given her a cool origin story, and they decided to go with this weird fucking daddy issues kind of nonsense. Where I don't know, man. They could have made a game where she was at the Chozo planet, whatever the fuck it is, learning from the bird people, but they didn't do that. They went with this weird ass fucking thing with Adam Malkovich, like her former commanding officer. Like, they created this weird fucking daddy issue Samus that completely goes against what people thought of Samus as up until this point. Like, up until this point, when Metroid Other M came out, it's like everybody thought she was just this stoic bounty hunter, and then all of a sudden they showed this weird side of her where she's like a fucking mess, like just a fucking disaster of a person. Multiple games into the series by this point, because this isn't an origin story. Other M wasn't an origin story. It was just another story that happened after all this other bullshit she went through, only for you to find out she's got these weird daddy issues and these weird emotional tantrums, or whatever the fuck.
The story and all that, I thought that tore down Samus much more than, say, just wearing high heels in Smash does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also recognize that Other M is much more of a niche entry into the Metroid franchise versus Smash.
Other M was Japanese wank material, in my opinion.
Game.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess, and this is kind of an offshoot, so I apologize, but when you were just saying just now how in Other M, they almost kind of delegitimized her to you as a as a character that was independent.
Yeah.
Or
it goes completely against her characterization in Prime, like her body language, and there's a really good video on it. Man, who was it? Oh, sheesh. I don't remember who it was. But there's a guy that broke down the Metroid Prime series kind of in comparison to the Other M games. See if I can find something. If I can find the ending. Spoilers. I think it was Metroid 2, actually. Let me go find that. Metroid 2 ending. Yeah, this is it. I haven't beat 2 or 3, so I need to be careful, I guess, about spoilers. But complete. So, just for real quick, you beat the game, you save these race of aliens, complete fucking silence. She just walks away, they all bow. She waves goodbye. That's her characterization. And that's all we knew. And that's all we needed. We didn't need her acting like a fucking 10-year-old with daddy issues like Other M did. I forgot the Zero Suit was in that game. Look at it real quick. I forgot the Zero Suit was revealed in this game. Yeah, this is where the Zero Suit comes from, by the way. It didn't come from Smash. The high heels came from Smash. I don't like this design, by the way. I wish they would have kept the Metroid Prime design. Because it made her look a little more, I don't know, real. Go ahead and look real quick. Here we go. So that's the gender reveal, right? But by this point, if you're playing this game, you already know Samus is a female, so there's a huge difference between this and what we just saw. Like I said, I prefer this. I like this a lot better. It makes her look like still feminine but mature, instead of this weird Japanese, you know, wank material that they turned her into. I actually don't like Zero Suit Samus, like, but not for the reason that Edda the idiot talked about.
Points about writing her character, but
yeah,
I don't mean to trash it completely.
No.
There were some major points that
Man, gross set of balls.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, so what I was going to say is that when it comes to sexualization of a character in general, one of the things that I always think of, because you and I have actually had this discussion a couple of times about if a character can be, I guess you could call it, this is going to sound really weird, but like proud sexy. So character, you know, in Samus.
I think we call that safe horny now, don't we? Like that's the Zoomer term, is safe horny.
Samus's sexiness has always
In my opinion, Zero Suit Samus is safe horny.
been kind of like a byproduct. You
By
know,
the way, I'm sexy.
by the way, I'm sexy. And it's never
I don't know
really been
about
something
that.
that's been commented on heavily or even really kind of put in the limelight. And I guess I feel like when they changed
Now, if you want to talk about, since we talk about things like as if fictional characters are real, I mean, when it comes to Zero Suit Samus, I mean, is it Zero Suit Samus's fault that people are talking about how sexy she is? She's just living her life, man. She's wearing her turbo, you know, her rocket high heels and putting on her Zero Suit because it gives her mobility. Whose fault is it for sexualizing her? That's kind of my point. Like, we want to talk about these characters as if they're real. Is it Zero Suit Samus's fault? Is it Samus Aran's fault that she's sexualized? What the fuck? I'm more of a feminist than y'all motherfuckers.
changed her to like these crazy, ridiculous heels that are super impractical.
Okay.
And it kind of brought that out. Like, look at
So let's look at my comment. That's enough of that. I talked about Adam was her father figure, not just some male character. Don't undercut it just because Other M is trash. It isn't canon either, but let's not BS around. Samus's parents got nuked by Ridley, and she was raised by weird bird people. Adam was her only positive male figure in her life, presumably. But I don't fucking care about that. Anyway, flash forward 8 years later, now we have a plethora of unattractive females in AAA games, and they're made unsexy and ugly on purpose, all because of complaints like this. As if to say women aren't allowed to show their bodies or be sexy even for their own sakes. That's what I mean, though. It's like, everybody's trying to control Samus, right? If we want to live in pretend fantasy land where Samus Aran is a real person, why are people projecting all this nonsense onto her? Can't Samus just be Samus? Pretty good question. It's just another form of control. We went from 1950s mentality to you better cover up to let's burn our bras and show how sexy we are back to you better cover up. Make up your mind. You do not make a smidge of sense. But it just seems like another form of gatekeeping. Normies and NPCs and normalize this mentality now, and now here we are. Our hobby is completely neutered. Stop playing these games. What? Oh, I stopped playing games made after 2007 and sick of this. And stick to stuff I've played already or hidden gems that I hear through word of mouth. Gaming is trash now. Feminism killed it. Worthless weak men let it happen too. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if there's anything else that's worth commenting. I'll watch it for a little bit longer, and if there's nothing special, I'll just fucking cut it out. Call it a day.
I'm sexy, rather than by the way, I'm sexy. And I think you can have characters like that. Immediately, the first two I think of are Bayonetta.
Hey, Bayonetta.
And, Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw.
So what's the difference?
Unashamedly.
So why do you give Juliet and Bayonetta a pass, and Samus Aran doesn't get a pass?
I'm
What?
sexy. And I think you can have characters like that. Immediately, the first two I think of are Bayonetta and Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw. Both of them are unashamedly sexy, flirtatious, ridiculous heels characters. Juliet actually doesn't wear heels. Anyways, they're unashamedly sexy characters, but all of that's presented without commentary. They just are. They make
It's not there's no commentary on it in the Metroid games either, dude. What the fuck? What's the point of this?
they make jokes or whatever, but at the end of the day,
So it is emphasized. It is nodded to. If they make jokes, I played Bayonetta. Yeah, her, like it's fucking Bayonetta is crazy. Like with the camera angles and the crotch shots and all that. Like they zoom up to her crotch and go between her legs. Like it's very, very blatant. Whereas you have Samus Aran, all she's got is a pair of high heels with rockets on them, and y'all are triggered by that? What the this doesn't make sense. Y'all motherfuckers make zero sense.
it sounds like it's kind of like called into question or that's not what I'm trying to say. But basically they just are. And Samus has always just kind of been, but I guess it feels to me like when they put her in heels, it was kind of like calling it out. Like, look at her.
No.
She is sexy.
I did not get that impression at all. She was already in a skin-tight suit, dude.
Her in heels. Like, you can put her in normal shoes. And people are still
Look at this dude. Just keep nodding, you schmuck.
I think she's sexy.
It's also a lot different than it did at the end of a game, at the end of a Metroid game, when they would be like, oh, and here she is out on the town having some drinks at a bar or whatever.
Wow, dude.
Now I'm fighting in Smash in my heels.
Yeah.
You felt that gave more of a...
Again, if we're going to treat her like a real character or a real person, like, she's not allowed to do that? Like, what is the deal? She's not allowed to wear her high heels with rockets on them and her skin-tight suit to go fight monsters or whoever. But she also can't have a drink at the bar at the same time. What is this? Like, I'm actually legit kind of confused right now. Like, what's allowed and what's not allowed? Tell me what the fictional character is allowed to do in their own universe.
I'm a pinup. Oh yeah? What do you like to do? Well, it's like I like to wear these heels and I like to dress like this. And what do you do for a living? I'm a bounty hunter. Oh, that's nice. Could you turn your head this way and smile, please?
Yeah.
Like that.
And what if she does? What if she did? Like, Samus Aran likes to look good and kick ass. Like, Bayonetta likes to look good and kick ass. Juliet Starling likes to look good and kick ass. What's the difference here? I don't get this argument at all.
Basically flip-flop the whole...
If they're not, I don't know, maybe they're just doing this for fun. I really don't know.
Take your butt out while I make this amiibo mold for you. Yeah.
Right, hey, well...
She's not real, dude.
I'm sure you did.
I didn't buy it. I'm not gonna buy Nintendo slop like that. Come on, dude.
Good wave. Tangent, but this wave was really good.
Amiibos. Pay no attention to the dialogue about Amiibo. Yeah, that was not the main point that we wanted to focus on.
I'm gonna play at 1.25.
What spurred this whole Samus talk that we've had.
But it is on 1.25. Jesus.
But it didn't really bother me. But I can understand how it would be like, all right, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't understand at all. This is fucking dumb.
Why don't we go ahead and put some heels on?
I forgot how dumb this was.
See Samus out in the bar scene.
And I made this post like a year ago.
Mostly think of the Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah.
And maybe I can splice some of these images in, so.
Well, I'll admit that I was not, I was totally ready to throw down with you and be like, no, look, she's just a tough bounty hunter.
She had like zero ass in that game.
The fact that in the games previously, she's, chilling at a bar in like clubwear or whatever, being her sexy tomboyish self. I imagine her as a tomboy. And that's a good point. And there's nothing wrong with a character being, natively sexy. I guess I just worry that they're pulling her towards that route instead of letting her speak for herself as she's already been designed.
I would say this. I think she...
Zero Suit, the Zero Mission, that's why it's called the Zero Suit, was introduced in this game. And this is a cutscene towards the end where you lose your nuclear armor. So Samus Aran is a nuclear-equipped walk-in battle tank, essentially, in a fucking suit. But this is one of the cutscenes, right? And she's got okay thing going on. Where's my cursor at? Cursor. There it is. Oh, it's over here. My bad. She's got a okay figure, right? Like, as an artist, this is a good figure. Her butt's okay, I guess. Kind of flat on the flat side. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
She is one of the best characters to be both capable and sexy, but I think that she has a great deal of adversity to face due to how many other females have been represented in the video gaming world. And so I think that a lot of that is preventing her from simply being herself. This is funny because she's like, all of them are fictional characters.
Right.
You know,
They're not real, dude. What the
if
fuck?
they were all real and this were all happening, and all these games were real, I would see Samus as somebody who's just like, there are certain aspects of me that are sexy that I need to basically hide.
Yeah.
In order to be more of a role model of what other video gaming women should be.
Well, and then in addition to that, you compare her to like the rest of the Nintendo stable, and she's by far the most out there female character they have. Because I mean, everybody else is basically, well, they're a Nintendo princess, not a Disney princess, but a Nintendo princess.
Right.
So you have, everybody's wearing these cute little dresses all the time, and then there's Samus.
Right. I mean, my way of
Samus
looking
is
at,
sexy, apparently.
I believe his phrase was, she doesn't need that. She doesn't need that kind of attention. But because that's not who she is, and that really got me because I'm like, that's always who she is. Like she's always been personified as a sexy person just as much as she has been a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being both of those.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where it gets hard especially because females in games in general have been so sexualized for such a long time.
Oh god.
That
Who sexualizes them? It's not just men.
I guess Samus is kind of like that final hope for a lot of gamers,
Uh-huh.
For a lot of female gamers or even gamers who just really want to see that. And in truth, we're seeing a lot more.
Why do women like this pretend like they don't want to see that? What is the deal with that? Because I know this lady's full of shit.
More representation now of females in
Like Kirk said it best when he says that men want to look at sexy pretty girls, women want to look at sexy pretty girls. Nobody wants to look at fucking gremlins, like like little gremlin women. Like nobody wants to see that.
in games.
What do you want? Like what do you want? Give me an example of what you want. This new age fucking dustborn, blob weirdo blue-haired shit. Is that what you really want? Is that what you want?
But in terms of Samus is kind of like that great original hope, I guess.
Right.
And that's why
That don't make sense to me because like he said and what I said earlier, Samus Aran has always been sexualized. So I don't fucking understand why you would ever think of Samus Aran being some weird last hope for female gamers. She's always been sexualized, dude. What is wrong with your brain?
people get so attached to the idea and almost want to like protect her character to a certain extent. But I would say that
this is wild.
Not to get like super feministy on you, but from a feminism standpoint, it actually, I think it's kind of a good thing that she's both.
Yeah.
And I think that, I guess, yeah.
Well, you know.
Okay, then what are we talking about? Why are we having this conversation?
Side of a stereotype or just an argument, you tend to completely swing the opposite direction that everything is going.
You polarize, yeah.
Right. You naturally want to polarize. So everything that you see and don't like, you want the opposite of it to be represented, you know? And I think it's one of those things that basically...
And I'm in a weird position, I guess, because I don't really like Zero Suit Samus. I thought it was censorship from the get-go. It's like, oh, they censored her ass. Like, they could have put Justin Bailey outfit, the purple leotard, and been true to the series, right, as a callback or whatever. Instead, they gave her this skin-tight suit that covers all of her skin. To me, that's censorship. And I don't like it because of that. And at the same time, it's this weird fucking fetish, this latex fetish shit that I don't understand either. Like these Japanese, I don't know, the Japanese are just weird in this way.
Basically is, we shouldn't have any sexy females or whatever. Put some armor on, not a boob plate. You know, it's like, you know, basically make all your characters where you're like, is that a guy or a girl in there? I don't know. You know, and
I mean, the ambiguity's neat.
That, you know, and
I mean, it was originally supposed to be ambiguous whether or not the person in the power suit armor is a male or a female. That's why we have the gender reveal, and that's why Samus Aran was such a big deal back then. Because all we had back then was like what, Jill of the Jungle and Mrs. Pac-Man as like female representation for video games. There's a lot out there, right? A name off the top of my head, Arkisa's Ring. There's other games out there. I don't know if I can name some right off the top of my head real quick. What else? Mario Brothers 2, you can play as Toadstool. I'll think of some more later.
Like, I've used the
There's a lot.
Plate. I don't want to go down that path, but like basically like
Legacy of the Wizard.
You know, trying to make everything so generic though that it starts losing personality. Like,
yeah.
And so
Well,
To me, real quick, the Zero Suit is generic. It's generic slop. And that's why I didn't like it. It's like they didn't really give her personality until they gave her the heels.
I get what you're. I know what you mean by that, but here's the thing that I'm just going to point out.
Oh my god.
Well, oftentimes, I mean, games look to represent the extremes in many different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just talked about Ganondorf.
The fighting, well, I don't want to get too much into the specifics, but you look into certain genres of games, I was going to say fighting games, and you see like a lot of what you would almost say as stereotypes represented in the fighting games. And I don't necessarily mean that as in like a racial profile or what country they're from or whatever, but like a body type.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and here's the smaller svelte. I'll just focus on the females. Here's the smaller svelte one, and here's the kind of like should be posing in certain types of magazines body type, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
What?
And it gets repeated, and it happens in other genres of games as well. And
Yeah.
it's not just because they figure like we need to differentiate between all these characters. We can't have them all be like well-rounded because that's boring.
Yeah.
So they all have to be extremes, and then when they start picking extremes for the female, they're all like, all right, on average, hourglass, scantily.
Yeah, because personalities for females are pretty limited. I mean, even nowadays, you either like no one looks at a girl and judges her by her personality. They're going to judge you on looks. So silhouette and artistic direction are a big deal when it comes to your female characters getting to know any characters, right? Female and male, but especially the females. If you're going to make a female character, they better have a striking silhouette. And what's the most striking silhouette of all? That hourglass figure.
Clad,
Wow.
Ready to be the poster one, the box cover. The case, like, be ready to represent, female anatomy.
It's badass.
The front cover of this, because you're going to be a marketing tool.
Yeah.
Lara Croft was.
Yeah.
And so.
I mean, Lara Croft was pushed as a marketing tool. I mean, supposedly the creator of Tomb Raider had a male protagonist, and they ended up making her female with big boobs and big lips and all that. Like, all the female stereotypes, and it's like, okay. As far as I know, the female gamers liked that kind of stuff back then, and they neutered that character completely. So right here, old versus new. They neutered the fuck out of this character. I mean, you want to talk about a character that got demolished. Fucking demolished by the DEI nonsense or the censorship nonsense. I mean, just real quick. This character was just completely neutered, man. Look at this, like, whatever this is, okay? And this woman doesn't look bad on her own, but it's bad. Even Angelina Jolie's depiction of Lara Croft was pretty on point. And I don't know, they turned her into something that just I did not like, and I wasn't a big fan of Tomb Raider to begin with, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I think they talk about Tomb Raider at some point.
Games come out, and obviously we've seen people, and we'll probably do another show about like female representation there.
They didn't.
But staying focused on Samus, I feel that Samus does manage to pull off this well-rounded woman who is capable and sexy. But whenever this,
I don't think so. Samus is pretty much a blank slate still, despite the fact that other M completely neutered what little characterization she had. She's still kind of a blank slate that you can do anything with. I mean. And if Nintendo ever does something with her character, it's gonna be trash because you're gonna piss off the fans no matter what.
For her, like in the case of these high heels, it
touches a nerve.
Yeah, it rockets her up into the stereotype tier and say, no, she's not there. She's on a level all of her own.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be here, And I'm kind of like, well, she should be allowed to be sexy because she backs up everything, in what she can do. We already know that she can do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, she blows up planets for fun.
Counter with the argument that like some of the pin-up looking characters can do a lot of stuff in some of these like 3D shooters or what have you, but I think the sexiness was an afterthought for Samus. Even though it was there from the beginning, it was kind of like oh, by the way, instead of like, okay, we need to have a female and she can kick butt and she can be, and like basically
you can't say that. It was there from the beginning, dude. Like, no way. Anyway, I think I'm done, y'all. It's been like an hour and a half. I'm starting to, after about an hour and a half, is around the time I start like mentally clocking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. Yeah, I think that's it. Just what was the point of that? I mean, it was just interesting. I like to talk about this kind of stuff because I do think it's important. It's a callback to, you know, the stuff I always talk about when it comes to the Anima and the Animus and these labels we place on ourselves, man and woman. I don't know, guys. Just let me know what y'all think, okay? I think that's interesting on its own. Maybe a side that a lot of my subscribers don't see. The video game side, because you know Matt McKinley talks about movies all the time, and this shit is prevalent. That kind of neuter DEI nonsense garbage is prevalent in video games as well, especially modern ones. That's why I said I don't really play anything past like the year 2007 or 2010 because video games started taking a nosedive around that time and it started becoming really trashy. Anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think. Have a great day.